Oh my god, this is funny. I may have to just do this. I may have to read this whole thing. This is hilarious. What's up, y'all? I think today is January 21st, 2015. It is I, the Great One himself, Cynical Libertarian Society. I do believe that last night, the Lord and Savior Hussein Obama gave his State of the Union address. I happened to log into Facebook and I saw John Stossel was posting some translations of the Messiah's speech. So anyhow, for those of you who watched the speech and sucked Obama's cock, good for you. I didn't pay any attention to it, and I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know anything about what he said. All I know is at some point in the near future, I have to make fun of his idea that everybody should get free community college. Because, of course, remember, when you say people are getting free college, that means it's not getting paid for. So that means all the people at the college are working for free. So basically, the people at the college are slaves. They're providing free work for people who are getting the free college. And we know they're getting paid, right? Because I just did a series of podcasts talking about that stupid cunt Boo Bolin, who is an adjunct professor, and how she's whining about how she doesn't get enough money because her dreams were stolen and all this other shit. And so we know that the people who work at colleges, who are predominantly liberal Democrats, left-wing statists, we know that they want to get paid. Right? They talk all this shit about free education, but the people who work at these colleges, who think all people should get free educations, you notice none of them are working for free. They all want kids to get free college, but yet they expect to get paid money for providing the free college. Because apparently they don't fucking understand that free means free, and that getting paid requires you to get paid. Because these are really fucking complicated concepts, especially if you're a dumb fucking statist. Good morning. I am the Great One himself. I'm founder of Cynical Libertarian Society, CYNLIBSOC.com, on the interwebs. We are here in the studio. Randy is over there in the control room on the other side of the glass. I have a jug of coffee, not a jug, a thermos. A very large thermos of coffee. I'm getting started this morning because looking through my pile, I have so much shit to talk about. Jesus Christ. Somebody left a comment on the YouTube channel the other day, well, a while back, because we all know that I'm always 6 months behind on everything. And they're like, man, they said something to the effect of they're hoping I didn't run out of stuff to talk about. I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, are you kidding? I could record all day long and not run out of stuff to talk about. I have so much shit, and I have notes, just not even going through the pile of shit I want to respond to. The notes that I'm putting together about topics that I just want to talk about and discuss. Oh, God. I'm so fucking far behind. If you guys would give me more Bitcoin, I could have to work less. Because I'd have money, because, I don't get to live for free. I'm not some kid I'm not some kid whose vote Obama is trying to buy with free community college. I have to actually pay for shit. I have to pay for my hookers and my blow. Obama should give everybody free cocaine and free hookers. Now that would get him some fucking votes. Oh yeah, except he's technically can't be president anymore. Even though, I wonder what's going to happen when all the people who think that Obama is president for life find out that he's actually not the president for life. Like when Hillary Clinton becomes president, what are these people going to do without their messiah? What I'm interested in finding out is, what is Obama going to do after he's not president? Because, the guy is young, he's got a lot of money, he's going to have Secret Service protection. The world is going to be his fucking oyster. I'll be interested to see what he does with the rest of his life. We know it will be something involving the state. We know it will be something promoting statism, trying to get more statism. But it'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do. Because, George Bush, thank God. Actually both Bushes, they finished being president and they just went the fuck away. And I imagine that George Bush and George Bush are at least somewhat active in Texas politics, just because they're from Texas, and or I don't know if they're from, but that's where they live now, whatever. So I mean, I would imagine they're somewhat local. They are somewhat local. We're all pretty much local to ourselves. I would imagine they are somewhat active in local politics, but they're not on the national scene. You know, they're not running around trying to influence national policy, and they're not traveling to other countries and sticking their nose into shit like Jimmy Carter did and all this other stuff. At least they had the slight amount of decency necessary to just go the fuck away. Just get the fuck off the television screens, out of the media. Just go the fuck away. Also, of course, the media are ignoring them because the media is left-wing statist, and the Bush are right-wing statist. The media, of course, is not going to ignore the Messiah after he stops being president, because he's the Messiah. They're still going to follow him around and record every fart, and every time he says something, pretend that the world has changed. So anyhow, that happened. And if you want to send us email, the email address is God, that's dog spelled backwards, God at cynlibsoc.com. And don't forget to go to the website, listen to the podcast, and send me fucking Bitcoin, you goddamn selfish motherfuckers. Alright. Let's do some shit here. Speaking of the federal government, it's that time of year when we pay our income taxes so the government doesn't kill us, those of us who pay taxes. And of course, you should always pay your income taxes. Especially if you have income that's like cash-only income that's not reported to the government for you. You should always, always, always report all income, the value of gifts, and even monetary gifts, right? You need to do your part. You need to pay your fair share, is what it amounts to. So be sure you're reporting all of your income to the government and paying all the taxes you're supposed to pay, because who will build the roads if you don't pay taxes? So apparently the federal officials have capped the amount of money. What is this? Scofflaws. I'm not sure what a scofflaw is. The federal officials have capped the amount of money you have to pay if you don't buy insurance. Because, right, this is the first year on your fucking slave form that you have to indicate you have health insurance, and if not, pay the penalty. So apparently the penalty here is, for an individual, the most you'll have to pay if you did not purchase Obamacare is $2,448. If you're a family of 5, the most you'll have to, this is the most you'll have to pay, it's not a big deal, is $12,240. Now, of course, this has been talked about by all sorts of people, but remember, with the Messiah Care, the whole point of this penalty is to force you to buy the insurance. So the cost of the penalty has to be equivalent to the cost of the insurance. Again, let's say that the insurance costs you $1,000 a year, but the penalty is only $100 a year. Okay, well, why would you spend $1,000 when you could just spend $100, right? So for the penalty to be effective, the penalty has to be equivalent to the cost of the insurance. So if the insurance is $1,000 a year, the penalty has to be in the range of $1,000 a year. It could be a little bit less, $900, and be effective, or better yet, and this is what will end up happening, it could be a little bit more, so that the government can say, well, look, if you buy insurance, you'll save money because the penalty is $1,100, but the insurance is only $1,000. And actually, they will, because ultimately the cap is going up to, it's either 2% or 2.5% of your taxable income, or this other number, whatever it's going to be, whichever is greater. So the point is, I mean, unless you're just poor as fuck, you're going to be paying the 2 or 2.5% of your income. And again, of course, this is what you have to fucking expect to happen. The point is, so what they're saying here with these caps of $2,500, I'm just going to do round numbers to make it easy, or $12,250 for a family of 5. What they're saying is that those are the approximate cost of the healthcare plan, right? So what they're saying is healthcare insurance for one person is about $2,500 a year, or for a family of 5 is $12,000 a year. I thought this was called the Affordable Health Care Act. If you have a family of 5, can you really afford $12,250 a year for health insurance? And if you can, then why did you need Obama to pass the law for you to fucking buy it? I thought the whole point of this was to give free health care to people who vote Democrat. I mean, to make health care affordable. And the other interesting thing, of course, is with the IRS forms, because I was looking at them, there's this long form where if you're exempt from the Affordable Health Care Act, you put on there the reasons why you're exempt or whatever else. But the point is, you can be exempt from the Affordable Health Care Act. So this is a law that says everybody in the United States has to purchase health care because it's for your own good. But wait, some people, I wonder who those people might be. Some people can get exemptions from the law. Because you see, the law applies to everybody, and everybody is equal before the law. Unless, of course, you get an exemption. Yes. This is a column from sometime in the past. Again, I'm 6 months behind. This is at least a year old, I'm sure. It doesn't have a date on it. By Leonard Pitts Jr. Leonard Pitts Jr., for those of you who haven't heard of him before, is just I've read a few of his columns in the past. He is the stereotypical, just rabid left-wing statist. Just, hates guns, hates men, hates freedom, hates basically anything that doesn't revolve around having Obama's ballsack in your mouth. Anything, any activity, any function, anything at all that does not center around Obama's ballsack and putting people in cages, he's against that. All right, Leonard Pitts Jr. says the accident on a Nevada gun range that killed an instructor was a prime example of national idiocy and poor character. Well, he's right. There is national idiocy and poor character. The problem is he doesn't seem to understand that the poor character and the idiocy exist in the 99%, which he happens to be a member of. All right, let's read this and discuss this. Sometimes you read a sentence and you think to yourself, only here, only us. Here's one such sentence. Quote, a 9-year-old girl from New Jersey accidentally shot and killed her instructor with a Uzi submachine gun while he stood to her left side trying to guide her. Unquote. The child and her family, who have not been identified, were vacationing last week in nearby Las Vegas and had signed up for a package deal offered by the gun range. It included a tour of the Hoover Dam, a hamburger lunch, an optional helicopter flight over the Grand Canyon, and the chance to fire a range of powerful weapons, including sniper rifles, grenade launchers, and machine guns. Dude, I want to know what company this is. You get a helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon. You get a motherfucking hamburger. I don't give a shit about the Hoover Dam. And you get to shoot sniper rifles, grenade launchers, and machine guns. I have not got to do that shit since back in the day when I was in the military. I want to know who the fuck these people are, and I'm signing up for this. What I want to know is, Hang on, I'm drinking coffee. Where's my water bottle? Randy, have you seen my fucking water? Yep, that's where it is. Thank you. God, you're good. That's why I keep you around. Well, that, because you're cute. Alright, hang on. Oh, okay, I needed that. I want to know, can I take the sniper rifle in the helicopter with me so that when we're flying over the Grand Canyon, I can take out some 99%ers that are down there during the tourist thing. Probably not. Okay, so anyway, that sounds like a great deal. I really, again, let me say, oh my god, they're going to let people shoot these guns. Oh, fuck. Alright. What kind of shooting range allows a pre-pubescent girl to fire an Uzi? Well, the kind of shooting range that has Uzis and isn't run by people with corncobs up their ass. Again, let's... For those of you out there who are statists who are going, oh my god, the tragedy, the horror, we have to have a law, we have to make a law. Remember, this is something that those of you who are stupid are too stupid to understand. And this is the same thing. This permeates our society, right? Every time an airplane crashes, 9/11, whatever, so many people died, all this other shit, or just anything. It's like, okay, there's 7 billion people on the planet Earth, and in the entire history of the human civilization, the total number of gun range instructors who have been killed by a 9-year-old girl with an Uzi is 1. And this is a giant fucking crisis to this faggot. We need, and as you'll see, it ultimately all comes down to we need more laws. It's always about more laws. 1 in the entire fucking history of the human species. 1 gun range instructor has been killed by a 9-year-old girl with a Uzi. Accidentally, by the way. It's not like she went psycho and tried to kill him. Right? She wasn't on, well, she might have been on. Dude, I am so fucking sick of all this ADHD shit. I have my little cell phone. It's actually not a phone. It doesn't have phone service. It's a tablet. It's a little Android. And mostly I use it for carrying around pictures and taking pictures and then playing computer games like chess and backgammon and shit. And so I have this series of games that are free, and so they have advertising in them. I'm playing backgammon. And like all the advertisements are for ADHD. Do you have ADHD? You might have ADHD. Your ADHD has changed over the years. What about ADHD? Do you think ADHD might be... There's no fucking such thing, people. There is no fucking disease. It's called having a personality. There is no fucking disease called ADHD. I am so fucking sick of hearing about ADHD, of hearing about ADHD. Here's your ADHD. We're going to help you. We're going to cure your ADHD. You're not going to fucking cure it because it's not a disease. You can't cure things that are not a disease. It's just a way for the pharmaceutical corporations that you claim to hate so much to make shit tons of money. There's no fucking such thing as ADHD. Diseases have real fucking... This is why you look at your symptoms. Your symptoms might be ADHD. No, they're not. Your symptoms either are, they aren't, like bone cancer. If you motherfucking have bone cancer, you either have cancer, you have cancerous cells, you have cells that are replicating out of control in your fucking bones. That is what bone cancer. If you have cells replicating out of control in your brain, that's not bone cancer, right? If you have fluid buildup in your lungs, that's not bone cancer. Real diseases have specific symptoms. There is no fucking such thing as ADHD. It's just a way for the corporations to make a bunch of fucking money. And you goddamn stupid fucks out there, you're just so obsessed with getting your children on drugs so your children don't have personalities and you don't have to deal with them. So here's a question. This 9-year-old girl accidentally shot her instructor. Was she on medication for ADHD? I mean, was she a normal, functional 9-year-old girl? Or was her brain chemistry fucked up because her parents had her on medication so the corporations could make money and her brain chemistry could be destroyed so that she would be docile and quiet and obedient and a good little statist? See, this is what, every time you hear some shit, in the fucking media about, you know, young people and you know, anybody under 25 does anything wrong. There's never, it's like, but, wait, here's how we'll phrase this. Whenever an adult, or let's put it this way, anybody, whenever anybody does anything wrong and they're on a drug which is illegal according to the government of the United States, oh, you fucking hear about it. This person did such and such and such, and they were drunk at the time. This person did such and they had a joint in their pocket. This person did such and such, and PCP was found in their blood. This person did such and cocaine was on the premises, right? Anytime it's alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, fucking cocaine, crack, whatever, any of those drugs, if somebody does something wrong, like shoot people, and those drugs are anywhere fucking even close, like in the same county, you're gonna fucking hear about it. But when somebody does something wrong, when somebody shoots up a school, or drives their car into a wall, or accidentally shoots the gun range instructor, does anybody ever ask the question, was this person on any prescribed medication? Was this person on medication for their personality? Was this person taking any medication provided to them by the pharmaceutical corporation industrial complex? No. See, that question is never asked. Because we're not allowed to talk about that. Because the pharmaceutical corporations, wow, they're okay. People growing marijuana in their backyard, well, they're evil. We're going to hunt them down and kill them. But the pharmaceutical corporations fucking up people's brain chemistry, totally fucking okay. I'm refilling my coffee cup out of this giant thermos. Randy, is this... Yeah, yes, that's what she said. It is big. To be a fucking great dildo. It's a really stretch to take that one. Not you personally. I mean, no, you would have to stretch to take this one. I'm not saying you're a slut. And oh boy! I'm going to stop now before I dig that hole any fucking deeper. Alright, so that was my rant about ADHD. And again, why are we, you know, if this girl's parents would have had a joint, it would be in here. But we have no knowledge what kind of medication she was on. Alright. What kind of shooting range allows a prepubescent girl to fire a Uzi? A shooting range that has Uzis. A shooting range that has instructors. I mean, she's a fucking 9-year-old girl. Again, this is something I've said, but right, I guarantee if this 9-year-old girl wanted to get a free abortion without her parents knowing about it, Leonard Pitts would be all over that shit. He'd be like, yes, she has a right to an abortion. You need to shut up and give her her free abortion. I mean, it's shooting a fucking gun. It's not that fucking hard. I've shot guns. Shotgun? Ha, shotguns. Now, giving her a shotgun would kill the poor girl because the recoil would blow this 9-year-old. And also, how do we know this 9-year-old girl may have been, was she physically healthy? By this I mean, was she a normal human being, or was she fat? Was she fat and weak and, you know, breathing hard and all this other shit? This information is never provided. For a 9-year-old girl to fire an Uzi is not that fucking difficult. What kind of instructor does not guard against recoil when a child is handling such a powerful weapon? Well, this was probably not this guy's first day, and it's not just a child. I mean, there's a lot of, again, being from Texas, where you start hunting early. He actually bitches about that later. We'll get to it. But in Texas, I mean, I know 10-year-old kids who use deer rifles. So it's not a matter of the age of the person with the weapon. It's a matter of the experience level. I'm sure he was continuously guarding himself against getting accidentally shot. But again, this is the real world that fucking you statists don't understand, is that accidents do happen and you cannot legislate them away. Again, He went through his however long time he worked at this gun range. And again, so think about all the gun ranges in the United States. Now think about all the people who work at the gun ranges and have worked there. Now, out of all of those people, out of all the days they've come to work, out of all the people that have come there and shot a weapon and never shot a weapon in their life, we got one person who was shot by a 9-year-old girl. Out of all of that. And it's just taking this one isolated, one-time tragedy and trying to blow it up into this event that requires laws. Meanwhile, of course, the government on a regular basis is murdering people in foreign countries with flying robots. Nobody gives a fuck, right? We're putting all these people in the prison industrial complex so that the corporations can use them for cheap labor. Nobody gives a fuck. We're spending all this fucking money on the war in Afghanistan. Nobody gives a fuck. But one person gets killed by a 9-year-old girl with a Uzi, and it's supposed to be a crisis. And again, Leonard Pitts is part of the media. He's doing what the media does. He's taking isolated events and he's blowing them up and trying to make them into these giant tragedies in order to terrify people, in order to keep people terrified so that people will continue to need to stay. Remember, in my long series, I talked about how statism ultimately boils down to people being afraid. People are statist because they are fucking terrified. They're terrified of everything around them. And all of this is part of the effort which is needed to keep people afraid. By keeping people afraid, you keep them dependent on the state for their safety. What kind of parents think it's a good idea to put a submachine gun in their 9-year-old's hands? Well, maybe parents who want to teach responsibility and the use of gun. I mean, if I had children at 9 years old, I'd give them guns. Seems a pretty reasonable time to start learning how to use a weapon. Fucking teach them gun safety. Somewhere, who the fuck was it that was talking about this? It might have been Adam Kokesh. Somebody was pointing out, and I thought this was a great point, is that as a civilian, because I think the person who said this was in the military, and that's why I think it was Adam Kokesh. But his point was, if you look at the video footage of the soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, you will see that there's absolutely no concept of gun safety. They ignore all of the fucking rules. And when I was in the military, I mean, we learned this shit. I've never done this shit. You see them and like they're walking around in the villages or they're searching, some people's houses because those people live there and God forbid they live there. So they're doing what they're doing. They're terrorizing civilians. Again, imagine if the Chinese army came to the United States and set up camp and started coming in your home and searching. How would you fucking feel? Well, that's how the fucking people in Afghanistan feel. And that's why they hate us. They don't hate our fucking freedom. They hate us because you cocksuckers who have Obama's balls in your mouth are sending American soldiers over there to fucking kill them and to invade their homes. Right? So fucking get over this they hate our freedom shit and your Messiah is a good man. Your Messiah is a fucking evil piece of shit. Alright, anyway. When you watch the footage, and this is why I've called American soldiers cowards, pussies, and everything else, because they're doing all of this shit. Yeah, they're no better than the guards at the concentration camps in Nazi Germany. I'm just obeying orders. Yes you are. And that's why you're a fucking tool. And that's why you're a fucking statist. That's why you're a fucking coward. That's why you're a fucking pussy. Okay. If you watch the video footage of the soldiers in Afghanistan terrorizing civilians, you will see they walk around, they've got their guns slung, their fingers are on the triggers, their weapons, as they're like just walking around and turning, their weapons are pointing at other people. Like, hello? And then if you remember, if you listen to this cast, it was a while ago, I read this article by some fairy who was in the military talking about gun safety and how in the military, how they don't have a round in the chamber and they have to put the tape over the top of the magazine and then they stick the magazine in the weapon so they don't accidentally shoot anybody. And I made extensive fun of this because you can have a round in the chamber of your weapon and not shoot other people. It's gun safety. You don't put your finger on the trigger or inside the trigger housing until you're ready to fire the weapon. The weapon is on safe until you're ready to fire the weapon. Then you turn the safety off. You do not point the weapon, even if the weapon is unloaded, even if the weapon is on safe, even if the weapon is loaded, if there's a round in the chamber, but the safety's on and your finger's not in the trigger, you still do not point the weapon at a person unless you're intending to shoot them. This is basic civilian gun safety. Any fucking 10-year-old kid who hunts deer in Texas could tell you this. But you watch the soldiers, the professional military of the American Empire. You watch them on TV, they don't know a fucking thing about gun safety. Is it because they're stupid? Is it because they're arrogant? Is it because they just don't give a fuck? Is it because they're trying deliberately to terrorize these people? I don't know, and I don't give a fuck. They're just fucking pussies. They're stupid. They don't know basic gun safety. So who would give a 9-year-old girl an Uzi? I would, because I would want my 9-year-old daughter to know how to handle a weapon, and I would want her to know how to handle the weapon safely. And if I had a 9-year-old daughter, I would not want her to have to rely on the state to protect her, because we all know the state cannot protect you. If the state can protect you, then explain why there's any crime. If the state can protect people from rape, murder, theft, fraud, then why is rape, murder, theft, fraud happening? His final question here. And what kind of idiot country does not prohibit such things by law? It is that last question that should most concern us. Yes, you see, the thing we should be most concerned about in this situation, in this one time ever in the history of the human species, what we should be concerned about the most is, why is this not against the law? Why is it? Why is there not a law against accidentally shooting people? Why is there not a law against letting 9-year-olds fire weapons? There's not much you can do about individuals' lack of judgment. Some people will always be idiots. Yes, they're called the 99%. You are one of them. It's hilarious. Just some people will always be idiots. Yes, and that would be you. Then I love this next line. Some companies will always be idiots. Okay, companies cannot be idiots because companies are not people. But a country and its laws should be an expression of a people's collective wisdom. Now you see, some people will always be idiots. But the country and the laws should be an expression of a people's collective wisdom. Well, Leonard, I have news for you, dumbass. The empire known as the United States of America, its wars of aggression against other countries, its mind-blowingly high prison population, its fucked up economy, its laws, its regulations, all of these things are a reflection of the wisdom of the American people. And the people in the United States don't have much wisdom. They're dumber than fuck. That's why we are where we are. This is a reflection. And right now, people like you are running around, and we're like here in the People's Republic, we're going to create more laws against smoking. We're going to be able to smoke outside now in the downtown area. Why? Because people are stupid. Because people believe that if their kids see people smoking, they're going to turn into smokers. People think that secondhand smoke causes cancer. We'll talk about why that's not true some other time. Yeah, because there's all these stupid fucking beliefs. Because people believe that, well, I should be able to control, if this person owns a bar and wants to allow smoking in it, we can't do that because I don't approve of that, so I can control what this person's business choices are. Because all of this bullshit has permeated our society. And so we have millions and millions and millions of laws and regulations and taxes, and we have wars, and we have people going to prison, and we have pharmaceutical corporations doping up children that don't have personalities, and all this other shit. And all of this is the result of the collective wisdom of the citizens of the legal fiction known as the United States of America. And this is one of the things that drives me insane about people who believe in democracy, because these are the people who say, well, yeah, people are always idiots, but if we get a bunch of people together and let them vote, the smart stuff is going to come to the top. No, the smart stuff doesn't come to the top. Look at what's at the top. Nancy Pelosi, Hussein Obama, Joseph Biden, George Bush, Dick Cheney, Newt Gingrich, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon. I mean, that's the top. That's what you get when you let a bunch of stupid people make decisions. If you let this whole thing into well, if we let the people vote, and the collective wisdom will arrive at the correct answer. No, when you take a bunch of, I've talked about this so many times, when you take a bunch of stupid people and you put them together, things don't rise to the highest level. Everything sinks to the lowest level. That's how we got where we're at, is through collective wisdom of the people. Again, you take 20 14-year-old students and you put them in a room and you start teaching them math. There's going to be one person smarter than everyone else, one person dumber than everyone else. At some point, as it levels out, the teaching level, the teaching progress, the ability of the teacher to move forward with new material is going to sink to the level of the lowest person in the room. This is democracy. The country we live in right now, with its prison population and its corporations and and all the things that you fucking statists out there claim to hate, whichever it is, you hate the GMOs, well, collective wisdom of the American people. You hate the corporations, collective wisdom of the American people. You hate the war, collective wisdom of the American people. You hate the public school system, collective wisdom of the American people. All of this shit is a result of allowing the collective wisdom of the American people as is manifested through democracy, as is manifested through the state. A system where the stupidest people say, we want more welfare, and then the state steals from people to give them more welfare. As opposed to the collective wisdom of the market, where if a bunch of poor people say, we want more welfare, well, then you poor people have to pay for the welfare, because nobody's going to just give you welfare for free. This is the difference. Because I know there's people like, well, but don't you believe in the collective wisdom of the market? Yes, but you see, the market is self-funding. The state is not. So if you have a poor person, the poor person says, I want food stamps, to Hussein Obama. Obama says, great, I'll give you food stamps. All you have to do is vote for me and vote Democrat for the rest of your life. So Obama steals money from people who work for a living and gives it to the poor person in the form of food stamps. And then, of course, along the way, creates a bureaucracy to support the food stamp system. So Obama then gets the vote of the poor person getting the food stamps and all the people who work in the bureaucracy. And all he has to do is steal money from people who have it. That's why in democracy that sort of collective wisdom works. In a free market, So let's say that somebody comes up to me and they say, well, I want some food stamps. I'm going to say, okay, great. Well, I can get some food stamps for you. It's going to cost you $200. And that I can get you, I can say to them, I can get you $150 worth of food stamps a week, and it'll cost you $225 a week because I'm going to provide you with the food stamps of that value, and you got to pay my, and they're going to be like, well, I can't afford that. It's going to be like, oh, I guess you're fucked. So you see the collective wisdom of the market, where people have to actually exchange value for what they want, will very quickly weed out the stupidity and the ignorance. The collective wisdom of democracy magnifies stupidity and ignorance because, as I've said before, democracy cannot exist unless the population is unintelligent and helpless. You cannot have a population of people who are smart and competent and have a democracy, because smart, competent people do not need the state to provide things for them. They will reject the state. Let me go back to reading. Randy, how are we on time? Thanks. And where gun laws are concerned, the United States of America is, individual dissenting voices duly noted and exempted from the following description, dumber than a bag of bullets. See, so where the United States of America, which is not a person, it's a country, but he's saying collectively, people in the United States, except of course those who agree with me, are dumber than a bag of bullets. Because, of course, as a left-wing statist, he believes in tolerance, diversity, multiculturalism, being an open-minded, having dialogues. But if you don't agree with me, you're dumber than a bag of bullets. This, after all, is a country where you can take a gun into a bar. Well, you should be able to take a gun into a bar. The gun is your property, and if the bar is open to the public, and if the people who own the bar don't want you to bring a gun in, then they can put a sign that says no guns allowed. Or you can be like Wellington Grill, that has the best fish and chips in the Fort Collins area. They have a little sign on this thing that says, yes, your gun is welcome here. I mean, I would much rather be in a bar with a bunch of people who have guns than in a bar with a bunch of people who don't have guns. Where you can erect a shooting range in your own backyard. Well, yeah, if it's your backyard, and if you have room to put up a shooting range, and you can make a burn, you know, and again, this, when he says shit like this, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the terrifying stuff. He says, where you can erect a shooting range in your own backyard, which creates this vision of people who live like in the middle of Denver. Like you live in a Denver suburb, and you're making a shooting range in your backyard. You know, I guarantee you, nobody is allowed to have a shooting range in their backyard in a city. The backyards he's talking about are out in the country somewhere. But the way he phrases it this way, very vague. No, and again, you know, this is why a lot of people say I'm long-winded, which is true. But this is, when I discuss shit, this is why I like to take things in depth. I like to analyze shit, and I like to encourage you to do the same. Don't just fucking read shit in a newspaper like this. And if you read newspapers, if you're old and everything, or if you're just getting some liner for your birdcage, you know, when you read this shit, you've got to fucking be critical. You've got to fucking learn to think. Where you can erect a shooting range in your own backyard. Has he provided any evidence that anybody has a shooting range in their backyard? Has he provided any data about what size these backyards are, where these backyards are located, so forth and so on? I mean, this is just this random fucking phrase designed to terrify you into thinking, oh my God, my neighbor might put a shooting range in his backyard, and I'd be in here one day, and I'd be taking a shit, and his 9-year-old daughter would accidentally shoot me with an Uzi. This is designed specifically to terrify the stupid people into voting for more Democrats. That's all this is. This is just pure bullshit. Where a blind person can get a gun permit. Okay, now he asserts that a blind person can get a gun permit. Again, let's do critical thinking. Follow me here. if the blind person is getting a gun permit, well, who do you get permits from? You get permits from the government. So this means the government, whom he thinks should control every aspect of your life, whom he thinks should make more gun laws, whom he thinks is the correct entity to make decisions for your life, the government has made the decision that blind people can have gun permits. If the government is giving gun permits to blind people, why would you want the government to have more control? No, this is just like these people at 9/11. Well, George Bush just sat there. Wait a minute. George Bush is a total fucking idiot. Why would you want a moron like George Bush to take control during a terrorist attack? I would not want George Bush to take control if my fucking toilet was backed up. Much less if somebody's flying airplanes into buildings. But this is statism, right? The status is, well, we need more government. Even though it's the government who is giving gun permits to blind people, well, the answer is more government. We just need more government. Yes, but the government is killing people in foreign countries with flying robots because they're going to a wedding. The government is putting all these black people in prison, which you claim is racism. The government is giving gun permits to blind people. And so the answer is, well, we need more government. We just don't have enough government. And again, this is the collective wisdom of the American people. You think it's insane that Arizona allows a 9-year-old girl to shoot at a firing range? ABC News reports, so it must be true, it's on ABC News. ABC News reports that one in Texas allows them to do so at age 6. Go Texas. Yes. You're 16, you're 6 years old, it's time to start learning gun safety, god damn it. Because one day, you may have to shoot a federal agent. And remember, always aim for the fucking face, because that's the place they're least likely to have the thickest body armor. God bless America. We legislate against Sharia law in places where there are no Muslims. What do you mean, we? Again, this is the collective wisdom, you fucking moron. This is democracy. If Sharia law is being legislated against, that's democracy. Again, this is the thing about status. Status is like when the state does something they like, they're like, yay, democracy. When the state does something they don't like, they're, oh, this is ridiculous, this is evil, this is terrible. Well, no, this is still democracy, goddammit. This is democracy, you stupid motherfucker. Oh, this next one is brilliant. We pass laws, there's this we shit again. We pass laws to curtail election fraud despite the fact that election fraud as a practical matter does not exist. Does anybody remember when Al Gore lost the election to the Bush? So you see, election fraud as a practical matter, it does not exist. There is no election fraud. We know that because Leonard Pitts Jr. said so. There's no election fraud. Wait until the next time a Democrat loses an election. I guarantee you there will be election fraud. By the way, so if you want, what's the name of that documentary? I've talked about it in the past. I talked about it in depth. There's a documentary about election fraud, and the ultimate kick banger at the end was when they got these electronic computerized voting booths that were supposed to be, you could not tamper with them, blah, blah, blah. And of course they got some computer hackers, and the computer hackers, it took them like 20 minutes to rewrite the code and tamper and alter the outcome. But there's no election fraud. No! Why would we have laws against election fraud? Election fraud? as a practical matter, does not exist. Until a Democrat loses. Yet we endure a yearly toll of gun carnage that makes civilized people in civilized places shake their heads in wonder, and our only action is inaction. Again, one gun instructor is killed by a 9-year-old with a Uzi in the entire history of the human species. This is not a toll of carnage. The toll of carnage, I just recently, as in yesterday, watched a great Stefan Molyneux video talking about this, and he points out what we all know but are not allowed to talk about. Most of the gun deaths in the United States of America happen in a relatively small number of cities, and they involve mostly people who have cocks and balls, who have dark skin, and who have criminal records. And most of the people they're shooting also happen to be people who have cocks and balls and dark skin and criminal records. But you see, we're not allowed to talk about it. Instead of talking about, acknowledging the fact that most of the gun violence in the United States is black criminals killing other black criminals over drugs, which are only illegal because of the government. Instead of acknowledging this, we're going to pretend that there's this fucking crisis, that there's this toll, that there's this wave of 9-year-old girls with Uzis running around shooting down gun range instructors in their backyards. Because it's all designed to just terrify the shit out of you. To make you so afraid that you'll vote for more statism, that you'll vote for more liberal Democrats, that you will go to the government and say, we need more gun laws because I'm afraid there might be a 9-year-old girl with an Uzi coming to get me. I mean, you people are just fucking dumber than shit. And this fear-mongering, and the fact that the fact that this gets published in a newspaper tells you that the people of the newspaper have an agenda and that they have no critical thinking skills and they have no integrity. They're basic, and then again, that's what newspapers are these days. It's just birdcage lining and sucking on Obama's ball sack. I don't bother with the other side. I am always right. Alright, let's get this fucker published and move on with our lives, Miss Randy. Catch you boys on the rebound. See ya.